Kaitai Shinsho, Kyūjitai, roughly meaning new text on anatomy, is a medical text translated into Japanese during the Edo period. It is based on the Dutch language translation Ontleedkundige Tafelen, often known in Japan as Tafel Anatomie, Tāheru Anatomia, of Kulmus German Anatomische Tabellen. As a full-blown translation from a Western language, it was the first of its kind in Japan. It was written by Sugita Genpaku, and was published by Suharaya Ichibee in 1774, the third year of Anne. The body comprises 4 volumes. The illustrations. 1. The contents are written kanbun-style. Background. On the 4th of March 1771, the 8th year of Miwa, the students of Rongaku medicine Sugita Genpaku, Mano Ryataku, Nakagawa Junan, al. by studying performing autopsies on criminals executed at the Kazuka Para execution grounds. Now, there is a possibility that Katashiragawa Hoshu was at this facility as well. But from the description in Rongaku Koto Hajime, it seems more likely that he was not. Both Sugita and Mano had the book Ontleedkundige Tafelen, imported from Holland. Sugita, marveling at the accuracy of the work while comparing it by eye with his autopsies, proposed to Mano that it be translated. For some time, Sugita had a desire to translate something from Dutch. Now he would get approval for this. He met with Mano the very next day, the 5th of March, and began translation. The one who recommended Kaitai Shinsho to the shogun was Katsuragawa Hozan. At first, Sugita and Nakagawa could not actually read Dutch. Even with Mano who could, their Dutch vocabulary was inadequate. It would have been difficult for them to consult with the Dutch translations and translators. Suji, in Nagasaki, and naturally there were no dictionaries at the time. A translation from any other Western language would have been out of the question, as the government of the time did not allow contact with any other Western nation. Therefore, in a process comparable to cryptanalysis, they progressed with translation work. In his later years, Sugita would detail the process in Rongaku Koto Hajime, in the second year of Anne, 1773, as they arrived at a translation goal. In order to ascertain society's response, they released the anatomical diagrams, Kaitai Yakuzu, a 5-page flyer. In 1774, Kaitai Shinsho was published. Influences. Mano Ryataku was at the center of the translation work, but there isn't a name as to the author of the Kaitai Shinsho. By one account, Mano was on the way to study at Nagasaki, when he prayed at a Tenman-gu for the fulfillment of his studies. He vowed not to study in order to raise his own name, so he abstained from submitting it. By another account, since he knew that the completed works were not completely perfect, the academic Mano could not submit his name in good conscience. Sugita Genpaku said, "I am sickly and numbered in years as well. I do not know when I will die." While he knew the translation was imperfect in places, he rushed to publish. The publication of anatomic illustrations was also Sugita's design. In regard to this, Mano is said to have had shown dislike for it. However, the man would actually go on to live an extremely long life for the time. He lived to the age of 85, unsure of when he would die and unsure of whether the government would approve the distribution of the Western ideas. It could be said this was a risky but important move. Nakagawa Junan, after Kaitai Shinsho's publication, also continued his study of Dutch, along with Katsuragawa Hoshu, and took on the natural history of Sweden according to Thunberg. Katsuragawa Hozan was the same generation friend of Sugita's. With his status as a Hogen, he served as a court physician to the shogun. He was not a direct influence on the translation work itself, though his son Hoshu did participate. Also, he provided for the supplementary materials that amounted to 3 volumes of Dutch medical texts upon the publishing of Kaitai Shinsho, since there was a possibility that it encroached on the Bakufu's taboos. Katsuragawa was the one who ran it by the OOKU. Katsuragawa Hoshu was the son of the Hogen Katsuragawa Hozan, and would become a Hogen himself later on. He is said to have been involved with the translation work from early on. Afterwards, he would serve to develop Rongaku along with Otsuki Genpaku. There are others that had to do with the translation work, like Ishikawa Genjo, whose name appears in the opening pages, Toriyama Shun, Kirayama Shotetsu, and Mine Shuntai, among others, whose names appear in Rongaku Koto Hajime. Yoshio Kogyu, posthumously Yoshio Nagaki, was a Dutch Suji. He wrote the preface to Kaitai Shinsho, and admired what he felt to be Sugita and Mano's masterpiece, Hiraga Genai. On Shogatsu of the 3rd year of Ane, visited the home of Sugita Genpaku. The translation of Kaitai Shinsho's text was nearly complete, and he was informed that they were looking for an artist for the dissection figures. Odano Neotake was a bushi from Kakuno date in the Akita domain, and the artist, by Hiraga Genai's referral, he got to drawing Kaitai Shinsho's figures off the original pictures. Until Kaitai Shinsho's first edition, it took the short time of half a year. It was his first time working in Edo, and yet it was historical record-setting work for Japanese science. Content. Kaitai Shinsho is generally said to be translation of Ontleedkundige Tafelen. However, other than the work itself, Bartholini's, Blancart's, Schamberger's, Coiter's, Vesselingius's, Palfin's, and others' works were also consulted. The cover is based on Valuadas. Of course, Asian sources and opinions also had an influence. The book is not a mere translation. The translation was done mostly by doctors like Sugita, who had to decipher and reconstruct the contents. There are notes in various places left by Sugita, as leftovers from the work. The contents are split into 4 volumes. Volume 1. General Remarks, Forms and Names, Parts of the Body, Skeletal Structure, General Remarks about Joints, Skeletal Structure, Detailed Exposition about Joints. Volume 2. The Head, the Mouth, the Brain and Nerves, the Eyes, the Ears, the Nose, the Tongue. Volume 3. The Chest and the Diaphragm, the Lungs, the Heart, Arteries, Veins, the portal vein, the Abdomen, the Bowels and Stomach, the Mesentery and Lacteals, the Pancreas. Volume 4. The Spleen, the Liver and Gallbladder, the Kidneys and the Bladder, the Genitalia, Pregnancy, the Muscles. The illustrations only comprise 1 volume. Effect afterwards. After the publication of the Kaitai Shinsho, there was, besides the development in medical science, the progress of the comprehension of the Dutch language. Also, it is important to note that Japan, even under its extreme isolationist policies, still had some foundation to understand the products of Western culture. It also helped to give a chance for promotion for such talents as those of Otsuki Genpaku. In translation, some words had to be coined. That is, there were no Japanese words that existed for them prior to the work. Some of them, such as the terms for nerve, shinki, cartilage, nankotsu, and artery, domayaku, are still used to this day as a result. The fact that this was a first translation means that minor misunderstandings were practically unavoidable. There are many mistranslations in the Kaitai Shinsho. Later on, Otsuki Gentaku retranslated it and released the authoritative and revised new text on anatomy, Chote Kaitai Shinsho, in the 9th year of Bunsei, 1826. In his last years, Sugita Genpaku would write about the work on Kaitai Shinsho in the beginnings of Rongaku Koto Hajime. See also, Sugita Genpaku, Nakagawa Junnan, Satake Shozan, Hiraga Genai, Kaitai Shinsho, an educational program on NHK. Screech, Timon and Carl Peter Thunberg. Japan extolled and decried Carl Peter Thunberg in the Shogun's Realm. 2005. ISBN 0-7007-17196. Takashi Shuji, Yoro Takeshi, Hugatoru, al. Present Day in the Middle of Edo, Akita Dutch Pictures and Kaitai Shinsho. 1996. ISBN 4-488-5729-X. Johann Adam Kulmus. Kaitai Shinsho. Illustrations from the original text. Historical anatomies on the web. National Library of Medicine. In Japanese. Kaitai Shinsho.